I am the 10th recruit. My story isn't one of valour, courage, sanity, nor vengeance. My story is that of a little girl who was brought into a world she never truly believed she belonged to. I grew up with men you would barely refer to as men. Their inner self was probably closer to that of the trolls and goblins that are told in sadistic fairy tales. The women were creatures of beauty and vanity, but inside those skeletal bodies was insidious intent. My greatest fear is not that I will fail, but the very idea of returning to my life and becoming like her. Most babies scream, cry, and wail, but my father used needles, pills, and powders to ease those sounds. While other kids were exploring the mobile wonder of the new world, I was experiencing a fake one of delusions and the never-ending numbness of pain. My mind, my sanity, and the very idea of consciousness was stolen away. I have no idea if my mind is true or if I've just escaped to a darker part of that false reality. I know one thing for sure. I'm real. I think. I feel. I hear. I listen. I'm real. I don't know anything beyond that. The first illusion I can remember was that my father was a king, while he would claim starvation after eating feasts beyond my desire. I was begging on the streets, as everybody chooses to ignore the problem in their peripheral vision. I begged so hard for so little. Some days I starved. I learnt not to take my food home, otherwise my father would take it for himself. He was the king of this poverty-stricken kingdom. He took what he wanted. He took my food. He took my water. And he even took me. He referred to that as playtime. By the age of 5, I stopped wearing dresses and only wore pants because it made it harder for him to gain access. He was so off his mind on drugs that pants would usually be too much of a bother for him to get through. However, on the odd occasion, it wouldn't be too difficult. He would be determined. I would need to make new pants. When he injected me with my medications, all bets were off. Though at least then I couldn't feel. At least then I was away from myself. At the age of 4, I became a liar. My little brother was born. I couldn't always scrounge up enough food for the two of us, so I told him that I wasn't hungry, that I wasn't scared of the things to make him feel better. Father injected him with medication too. When I was 9, my father decided his kingdom needed to be locked down. He grew into a hysterical madness. He would lock brother and me in our rooms for days without any supplies. He would randomly start fires in the house, then completely ignore them, and our dosage of medication became so much more frequent. One day, he chained me in the backyard while I was off my mind. I hadn't eaten for 2 days. He left me water in a dog bowl. He left me there for so long. It had rained, and those raindrops had dried before he returned. My medication had worn off. I could hear the screeching sound of the sun as the light was burning through my eye sockets, only to feel comfort in knowing that it was only blood dripping from my ears and nothing more important than that. After 2 days, I felt fine, just hungry. I was so goddamn hungry. After 2 weeks, he returned and injected me with more medication. I begged him for food. I asked him to please give me something to eat. I would do anything. I will participate in playtime. I would steal for him. I would do anything for him. He looked at me with a completely straight face and said, "Just eat the dog." I looked next to me, and the dog was chained up. I didn't see it as much of a choice. I didn't hesitate. I sunk my jaw into its neck. He struggled and squealed as tiny droplets of blood ran down my face and neck until suddenly There was a large explosion, like a tap end had snapped, and blood poured through my mouth as I strenuously tore through his veins. I was covered in his blood. The muscles and the skin in the neck just tore as my teeth met each other. I spat that out. I watched as he slowly struggled, squealing, trying to hold his neck shut. I had to watch him struggle. It wasn't really that easy. I wanted to take it back. I wanted to let him live. But like all things, he eventually began to fade. I started to eat. I didn't really have the means to cook him, so I had to bite, sink my teeth into him, before trying to rip and tear a piece from him. The first attempt, the first try he moved. It freaked me out. I waited another 5 minutes. I realized I was sitting in a mud puddle stained red. It covered and attached itself to my skin. Then I ate him. It wasn't till the next day, when my medication had worn off and I saw the remains. We didn't have a dog. That was my brother. My little brother. I had eaten the one person I was always meant to protect. A couple of years later, I was recruited. I am recruit 10,